Have you ever sat down to work on something important, only to find yourself 3 hours later wondering where the time went? You're not alone, and you're not broken. Your attention is your most valuable asset, but it's being stolen from you every single day. Meet Sarah, a marketing manager who used to pride herself on multitasking, just like you might. She'd answer emails while in meetings, scroll social media during lunch breaks, and keep 12 browser tabs open at all times. Sound familiar? Sarah thought she was being productive. She was actually destroying her brain's ability to think. Her attention, her most valuable asset, was scattered to the wind. Or consider Marcus, a college student who couldn't read for more than 5 minutes without checking his phone, maybe just like you do. His grades were slipping, his stress was climbing, and he felt like his mind was constantly scattered. He tried harder, studied longer, but nothing worked. Why? He was fighting the wrong battle. He didn't understand that his attention is his most valuable asset. Then there's Lisa, a working mom juggling conference calls, homework help, and household management, perhaps your exact situation. Every day felt like mental chaos. She was always busy, but never felt accomplished. The harder she tried to do everything, the worse everything got. She hadn't learned to protect her attention, her most valuable asset. By the end of this guide, you'll discover a deceptively simple method that helped Sarah increase her deep work sessions by 300%, allowed Marcus to ace his exams with half the study time, and gave Lisa the mental clarity to excel both at work and at home. Once you see this approach, you'll never look at your attention, your most valuable asset, the same way again. But first, let me tell you about the invisible war happening inside your skull right now. Your mind is under siege right now. Every notification, every ping, every digital interruption is a tiny invasion targeting your most valuable asset. You've accidentally entered the perfect storm for mental destruction, and you might not even realize you're drowning. Think of your brain like a high-performance sports car. Now, imagine someone keeps yanking your steering wheel every few seconds. That's what digital distraction does to your cognitive engine. Your brain wasn't designed for this chaos, and neither was your attention, your most valuable asset. Here's what's really happening to you. Every time your phone buzzes, your brain releases dopamine. Not when you check it, when it buzzes. Your neural circuits are literally being rewired for addiction. The uncertainty of what that notification might be, that's the real hook stealing your most valuable asset. Sarah discovered this the hard way. She installed a tracking app and was horrified to learn she was checking her phone 247 times per day. That's once every 6 minutes during waking hours. No wonder she felt mentally exhausted. Her attention, her most valuable asset, was being stolen 247 times daily. The cost to you isn't just lost time, it's lost depth. Ready for a truth bomb? You're terrible at multitasking. So is everyone else. What you think is multitasking is actually something scientists call task switching, and it's murdering your mental performance. Your brain isn't a computer with multiple processors. It's more like a spotlight that can only illuminate one thing at a time. When you try to multitask, you're essentially flicking that spotlight back and forth rapidly. Each switch burns cognitive fuel and leaves what researchers call attention residue. Marcus learned this lesson during his sophomore year. He'd study with music playing, notifications on, and social media tabs open. He thought he was being efficient. In reality, every task switch was costing him up to 25% of his cognitive capacity. It's like trying to fill a bucket while someone keeps poking holes in the bottom. Here's the kicker. Multitasking doesn't just reduce performance, it actually changes your brain structure. People who frequently multitask show decreased density in brain regions responsible for cognitive and emotional control. You're literally rewiring yourself for distractibility. Lisa experienced this firsthand when she tried to help her daughter with homework while answering work emails. Not only did the homework take twice as long, but she sent 3 emails with embarrassing typos. The attempt to save time actually created more problems. The solution? What I call single task supremacy. But before I reveal that system, you need to understand why your current approach is sabotaging your success. The next insight will completely change how you think about productivity. Every time you switch tasks, part of your mind gets stuck on the previous activity. Imagine trying to have 5 conversations simultaneously. You might catch fragments of each, but you miss the depth of all. This is what happened to Sarah during her multitasking days. She'd jump from email to spreadsheet, to phone call, to planning document. Her brain was constantly playing catch up, never fully engaging with anything. She was busy, but not effective. Motion without progress. The research is stunning. It takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. That innocent 2-second phone check? It just cost you nearly half an hour of peak mental performance. But here's where it gets interesting. Some people seem immune to this problem. They work with incredible focus, produce exceptional results, and somehow stay calm in our chaotic world. What's their secret? They've learned to treat attention like the precious resource it island. They've discovered what I call the mental energy economics principle. Every distraction is a withdrawal from your cognitive bank account. Most people are spending themselves into mental bankruptcy. Before you can fix your focus, you need to understand your distraction patterns. For 1 week, Marcus tracked every interruption. Phone checks, email glances, random thoughts, everything. The results were eye-opening. His biggest attention thieves weren't what he expected. Yes, social media was a problem, but his real focus killer was something subtle. He was unconsciously checking his phone every time he encountered a difficult concept in his textbook. His brain had learned to escape whenever learning got challenging. Sarah's audit revealed a different pattern. Her productivity crashed every afternoon around 2 p.m., not because of external distractions, but because she was fighting her natural energy rhythms. She was trying to do creative work during her biological low point. Lisa discovered that her morning routine was sabotaging her entire day. She'd check email before her feet hit the floor, immediately flooding her brain with other people's priorities. By the time she started her actual work, her mental energy was already scattered. The audit isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. You can't change patterns you don't recognize. Once you see your distraction triggers, you can design your environment to support focus instead of fighting it. Here's your immediate action step. Install a phone usage tracker right now. Don't wait until tomorrow. Awareness is the first domino that starts your focus transformation. But tracking alone isn't enough. You need what I call the distraction elimination system. I'll reveal that next, but first, let me show you why willpower alone will always fail. Here's something that might shock you. People with the best self-control actually use their willpower the least. They've learned something crucial about human psychology that most people miss. Willpower is like a muscle that gets tired. The more you use it, the weaker it becomes throughout the day. Trying to resist distraction through pure mental force is like trying to stop a river with your bare hands. Marcus discovered this when he tried to study in his dorm room, surrounded by video games, snacks, and his buzzing phone. He'd last about 20 minutes before giving in to temptation. He blamed himself for lacking discipline. The real problem was his environment. The solution? Environmental design. Instead of relying on willpower, shape your surroundings to make good choices automatic and bad choices difficult. Sarah started leaving her phone in another room during deep work sessions. Simple? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. Without the constant visual reminder, her urge to check notifications dropped by 80%. Lisa created what she calls a focus fort in her home office. No phones allowed, no social media bookmarks, nothing but the tools needed for the task at hand. Her productivity skyrocketed not because she became more disciplined, but because she removed the need for discipline. This is the secret of focus masters. They don't fight distractions. They engineer them out of existence. Now, I'll show you how to build your own distraction-free environment. But here's what's really exciting. Once you master your environment, you can tap into something even more powerful. Your brain's natural focus cycles. Your body operates on 90-minute energy cycles called ultradian rhythms. Most people fight these cycles. Focus masters ride them like surfers catching perfect waves. Think about your typical day. Do you feel energized in the morning and crash in the afternoon? Do you get a second wind in the evening? That's not random. That's biology. Lisa learned to schedule her most demanding cognitive work during her natural peak hours, typically the first 2 hours after waking. Creative projects, strategic planning, complex problem-solving all during her biological prime time. Less demanding tasks got relegated to her low-energy periods. Email, administrative work, routine calls. These happened during her afternoon dip around 2-3 p.m. Marcus discovered his brain was sharpest between 9-11 a.m. and again from 7-9 p.m. He restructured his entire study schedule around these windows. Result? He cut his study time in half while improving his grades. The key isn't working harder, it's working in harmony with your natural rhythms. Force creates friction, flow creates results. Here's your action step. For 1 week, rate your energy level every hour on a scale of 1-10. You'll discover your personal productivity pattern. Then design your schedule to match your biology, not fight it. But energy management is just the beginning. The real game changer is what I call cognitive offloading. This technique alone has helped thousands of people think clearer and accomplish more. Your brain is a thinking machine, not a storage device. Every piece of information you try to remember is cognitive weight that slows down your processing speed. Sarah used to pride herself on remembering everything: client details, project deadlines, creative ideas, grocery lists, all stored in her mental RAM. She felt smart and organized until she realized this mental clutter was preventing deeper thinking. The solution? Build a second brain. This isn't about fancy apps or complex systems. It's about systematically moving information from your head to external storage. Marcus started with a simple notebook. Class notes, assignment deadlines, research ideas, even random thoughts. Everything went on paper. His mind immediately felt clearer. Without the constant mental background chatter of trying to remember everything, he could focus completely on learning. Lisa created 3 simple systems: a task manager for projects, a notes app for ideas, and a calendar for commitments. Nothing revolutionary, but the effect was transformational. Her mental energy, previously scattered across dozens of small details, became available for high-value thinking. The principle is simple. If it's important enough to remember, it's important enough to write down. Your brain is then free to do what it does best: analyze, create, and solve problems. This cognitive offloading creates space for something remarkable: flow states, those magical periods when time disappears and your performance skyrockets. I'll show you how to trigger flow on command. Flow is the intersection of challenge and skill where peak performance lives. In flow, your brain produces 400% more norepinephrine, dopamine, and endorphins. You become temporarily superhuman. But flow isn't random, it follows predictable patterns. You can engineer it. Marcus discovered this during his physics studies. When problems were too easy, he got bored, too difficult, and he got anxious. But when the challenge level perfectly matched his growing skills, something magical happened. Hours felt like minutes. Complex concepts became clear. Learning became effortless. The flow formula has 4 components: clear goals, immediate feedback, challenge, skill balance, and complete focus. Master these elements, and you can access peak performance on demand. Sarah applies this to her marketing projects. She breaks large campaigns into smaller, specific objectives with clear success metrics. Each completed milestone provides immediate feedback. The work stays challenging but achievable, and her environment eliminates all distractions. The result? She regularly enters flow states that produce her best creative work in a fraction of the normal time. Lisa uses the flow formula for household management. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by endless chores, she gamifies tasks with clear objectives, immediate completion satisfaction, and progressive difficulty levels. Flow isn't just about work performance, it's about optimal human experience. When you're in flow, you're not just productive, you're alive. But flow states are fragile. One interruption can shatter hours of deep work. That's why you need what I call the momentum protection protocol. Here's the harsh truth. Building focus is hard. Destroying it is instant. One notification can obliterate an hour of deep work. That's why protection is more important than production. The momentum protection protocol has 3 layers: environmental barriers, psychological boundaries, and social agreements. Environmental barriers are physical changes that make distraction difficult. Sarah puts her phone in a drawer across the room. Marcus studies in the library without Wi-Fi access. Lisa works with website blockers and notification silencing. Psychological boundaries are mental rules that guide behavior. I check email only at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Social media is only allowed after 6 p.m. No phones during meals or conversations. Social agreements involve other people in your focus commitment. Marcus told his roommate about his study hours and asked not to be interrupted unless there was an emergency. Sarah informed her team about her deep work blocks and response expectations. These aren't just arbitrary rules. They're strategic defenses against a world engineered to scatter your attention. The magic happens when all three layers work together. Distraction becomes not just difficult, but socially awkward and psychologically inconsistent with your identity. You're not just changing habits, you're becoming someone who protects their mental energy, like the valuable resource it island. The deepest level of change happens when you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with focus and start identifying as someone who thinks deeply. This isn't positive thinking, it's strategic identity design. Sarah stopped saying, "I'm easily distracted," and started saying, "I'm someone who thinks deeply about complex problems." Marcus replaced, "I can't concentrate," with, "I'm a focused learner." Lisa transformed, "I'm overwhelmed," into, "I'm strategic with my mental energy." These aren't just words, they're behavioral blueprints. Your actions automatically align with your identity. Change the identity, change the actions. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you're casting a vote for who you want to become. Every deep work session, every ignored notification, every moment of sustained attention is evidence of your new identity. The compound effect is remarkable. Small, consistent choices create dramatic, long-term transformations. But identity change requires more than internal work. You need external systems that support your new way of being. We've covered the science of distraction, the myths of multitasking, and the systems for sustained attention. But knowledge without action is just sophisticated entertainment. Your focus revolution starts with one simple decision: treating your attention as your most valuable asset. In our hyper-connected world, the ability to think deeply isn't just a competitive advantage, it's a survival skill. Sarah, Marcus, and Lisa didn't transform their lives with perfect plans. They started with imperfect action. One small change, implemented consistently, created momentum for bigger transformations. The modern world wasn't designed for human flourishing. It was designed to capture and monetize your attention, but you now have the tools to redesign it. Remember, this isn't about perfection. There will be days when notifications win, days when your focus feels scattered. That's not failure. That's being human in a digital age. Your attention shapes your reality. What you focus on expands. What you ignore diminishes. Choose consciously. Choose deliberately. Choose with full awareness of the power you wield. Here's your concrete challenge. Pick one strategy from this guide and implement it in the next 48 hours. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, maybe it's the phone usage audit. Perhaps it's creating your first distraction-free environment. Or it could be mapping your natural energy rhythms. Strategic thinking is worthless unless it becomes strategic doing. Your future self will thank you for the actions you take today. The revolution doesn't happen all at once. It happens one focused moment at a time. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that like button if you found value here. And subscribe because we're just getting started on this journey of peak human performance. Your attention is your superpower. Time to start using it. The focus revolution begins now.